Welcome back to part 2 of the restoration of this Honda Elite 50. We've got many things to take care of, but we're going to start with draining the oil from the final reduction. We're going to remove and replace it with some fresh oil, some 10W40 that Honda recommends we use. And we're going to go ahead and get started by removing this drain bolt right here. And after we get it all removed, we'll get some new oil in place. With the drain bolt out, I am leaning the bike towards me, and this is going to allow for a good majority of the oil to come out. Hopefully I'm getting just about every last drop. I'll continue to lean it. Hopefully the bike don't fall on me, but you can see how dirty the oil is. It's probably never been changed, and it'll be nice to give the bike some nice clean oil. I'm just going to lean it a little bit more, and hopefully we'll get every drop out. And after we take care of getting this all cleaned up, we'll get ready for the new oil. Well, I'm sure there's lots of ways that you can handle this, but I found this to be the easiest. I found these large syringes on Amazon, a few bucks a piece, and you could put all the oil in one shot, and just makes it much easier for you to install the new oil. It makes it extremely nice to have it all in one syringe. Now you need 88 milliliters of oil, which equates to 3 ounces. That's what Honda recommends that you install on the bike. And again, all in one shot and perfectly measured for you. Alright, I've got the bike tilted and going extremely slow because you don't want this to end up all over your floor. And you slowly start to inject the bike with the new oil. And this is why it's so important too, when you go to remove the old oil, that you get as much as possible out of it. That way you know when you start to put the new oil in that there's no chance that it's going to end up all over your floor. And I got about half of it in there. I'm giving it a little pressure here and there. And I have just about all of it installed. And hopefully it all stays in the bike and not on the floor. Just a little bit more to go. And that'll do it. And we look successful. Every last drop ended up in the bike instead of on the floor. Perfect. Looks good. Keeping the bike leaned, put the drain bolt back on and hand tightened, and then using your 12 millimeter, it should tighten up nice. And as long as that washer is in good shape, you shouldn't have any leaks. We'll find out in a moment though. Now that the final reduction is done, we are going to go ahead and clean out the whole fuel system. And an easy way to do that is by getting yourself one of these cans of seafoam. Really, really nice formula for cleaning out, you know, the old carbon, everything that's on the inside that goes through the fuel system, not just the carb, but on the piston and inside the sleeve. You know, everything get cleaned up, just adding it to your gas. I'm extremely lucky because look at how clean that gas tank is. I mean, it is beautiful inside for being 33 years old. So just adding a couple ounces. You don't have to add a ton. And once you put it all in, put the cap on, and then go ahead and start up the bike. I'm hoping by running seafoam through it that it's going to restore any lost power due to any carbon buildup or anything that's in the engine that needs to get all cleaned out. You're going to see some white smoke, but don't worry about it, it's normal. I just want to check over here while the bike is running to see if anything is dripping from this drain bolt, and I think I tightened it up good. I don't see any issues with that. Everything sounds good and everything seems to be running great. I couldn't leave the heat shield and the screws on the exhaust side looking as nasty as they did. I went ahead and used some barbecue grill paint on them, and it looks really nice. I figure why not make every part look nice if I can. Alright, well I temporarily put that back on just to see how it looked. But now I'm going to go and take the exhaust off. I'm going to take the tire and rim off and get it all ready to paint. Okay, the exhaust is off, the tire is off, and just left all the nuts and bolts right there. You can see the exhaust on the floor. I'm going to drain all the air out of the tire and get it all prepped to get it painted, putting some tape around all the outer edges. Alright, so I got masking tape on the tire. Got it on the valve stem here, and I put it underneath the tire rim. That way I can get a real nice paint job on the rim. And I'm going to cover all these scratches up. And what I'm going to use is a paint by Rust-Oleum. It's an automotive touch-up paint. It's got paint and primer all in one can. And it's really good for covering up and sealing scratches. So if you got scratches and rust, it should cover them up very nicely and be close to the same paint color. Wow, I'm really impressed with how close the paint color is. It's got a little bit of metallic in it, but not much. The original steel rims didn't have any metallic, so this dresses it up very slightly. I didn't want a huge difference between the original and this, but I really like the way this came out. It definitely covered all the scratches as well. We're going to address the other side now and get rid of all these fine scratches. I wanted the rims to look a little bit better, and you know, I did the best I could with the product that got rid of all the rust. It did a really good job at that. And the quick glow I used, I definitely recommend for that. But now we're going to get this painted and make it look beautiful. But just make sure where the brakes touch, you tape all that off. Using that Rust-Oleum paint on the rim turned out to be a great idea. It removed all the fine scratches and the rim looks like brand new. So much nicer than before I started. We'll go ahead and put it on the bike and get a better look at how nice it looks. I put the nut back on and it looks beautiful. Definitely an improvement over what it was prior. That Rust-Oleum paint did a really nice job on the rim. When you go to put the two exhaust nuts back on top, use some blue thread locker. It'll help keep them on because there's a lot of vibration on the exhaust. That way they stay in place instead of coming off. Don't tighten these two nuts down until after you get these two on as well. Once you have all four of them on, then start to tighten them all up and get them torqued down correctly. 28 pounds of pressure is now in the tire and looks good. Okay, let's go ahead and start it back up just to make sure I put everything back nice and tight. It's going to still sound, yeah, it still sounds a little different. That's just because there's seafoam going through the system. This whole tank of gas will be like that, but we should be good. Everything seems to be working okay. Time for the front tire. We just have to remove that bolt that goes right down the center, remove the cable that is for the brakes along with the speedo cable, and then just lift the tire right out of that brake hub, and we'll get that all ready for paint next. I'm going to go ahead and clean the brake hub, get all the dust and dirt out of it, and get that ready for paint as well. I'm going to go ahead and use the same paint that I'm using on the wheels, this touch-up Rust-Oleum, and that way it'll look really nice right up against the rim. I just got to tape it up. All taped up and ready to be painted. Again, the scratch is all covered up with this paint. Just a few coats and it made it look like brand new again. It'll look real nice back on the wheel all painted. Using Quick Glow, which we used on the rear rim, we're now applying it to our front rim to remove all of the old rust and getting it real nice and prepared to put some new paint on it. Just lightly going over it with this wire brush and get rid of all that old rust and get ready for paint. The results are incredible on how all that rust, all those little spots on the front and back of this rim, they're all gone. All that you see now are some surface scrapes. You know, on this side here you can see that there is some marks that are not going to be removed by using that Quick Glow, but once we put the new paint, it's going to cover this all up and make this rim look like brand new, and then we won't have to worry about rust showing through. All taped up, giving you a close-up. You can see all those very light surface scrapes. And then here's some little bit bigger ones. But once we apply that new paint, you will no longer see these. This side you can see that there is, you know, they're here and there, but this side I think you see them a little bit more, but it's going to look much better after a coat of paint. With the paint applied, it looks so good, so much better. Showing you a nice close-up here. It made the rim look like brand new. Unbelievable results. Hopefully to last for a long time. We went ahead and removed all the tape from both sides of the rim, and it looks phenomenal. It's very impressive how that paint very easily, with just a few coats, covers up any of the scratches that were on there, as well as any little bruises. Everything looks really, really nice. And when I go ahead and I put in the brake hub that I just finished, it all looks like brand new, which was the goal. So far, so good. It'll be a pleasure to put this back on. Alright, I removed the front plastics off of the shocks, and no visible rust. Everything looks nice under here, just needs a good cleaning. So I'll wipe this all down after I remove this front plastic, because unfortunately I'm going to have to repaint it. I've tried rubbing compound, I've tried buffing, waxing. Nothing will remove the splatter, whatever it is, to the point where I removed all the black paint in that area just by rubbing it out. So looks like this has got to be repainted also. By removing these 3 nuts on the front, as well as 3 on each side of the purple plastic, that whole front black plastic will come off in one piece. There'll be some tabs on each side that you'll have to pop off. Just be very gentle when you do. But now that I have it off, there's lots of things for me to clean under here. So I'll make this all look pretty as well, cleaning it all up with some Simply Green. Onto the side panels and removing these decals. You can see how it's starting to peel back nicely. By using a heat gun, very gently, very lightly over the plastics, not to stay in one place, it will start to make the adhesive be relaxed, and then you can remove the decals fairly easy. And the decal came off almost in one piece. Just lightly pulling on it and removing the leftover adhesive with this adhesive remover. And look how much nicer it looked underneath the decal. And you can just see how bad the rest of it looks. This is one of the 2 covers for the shocks in the front of the bike, and it's severely scratched in the corner. It kind of bugged me, so on the other one I started sanding it down with some 220 grit sandpaper just to get rid of all the scratches and just to get it as smooth as I could. And I'll go over it with some Fusion all-in-one paint and primer paint, and this is going to definitely help with making these look a little bit nicer. But first you got to get these all sanded and looking good. This is the first one that I've already put 3 coats of that Fusion paint on. And the reason it looks dull is I went back over it with some 1200 grit wet sandpaper, and I did some wet sanding on it just to get rid of a lot of the high spots. And I'll wait another day and then I will repaint these again. And so far so good. It looks pretty good. After another coat of paint, I'll buff it out and these will look like brand new. With the rim and brake hub back installed, it's amazing what a little bit of elbow grease will do on these bikes. You know, just putting a little bit of time and effort into cleaning them up, getting stuff like these things painted, you know, underneath this fairing, how much nicer it looks just by wiping it down and caring. You know, unfortunately though, we've got quite a bit of work still to do, and it's not going to be able to be finished in this video, so we're going to need a part 3. That's going to show putting everything back on the bike, getting those fairings painted, and getting everything finalized for a test drive. But you can see from this here how much nicer it looks from where we started. But I appreciate you watching my channel, so if you haven't, please subscribe. Please hit that notification button for part 3 to come soon. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it if you do, and let me know that you like my content, as well as leave me any comments, good or bad. I'll see you soon with part 3.